Hey everybody, in this episode, it's myself, Ben, and Dr. T. Do you find yourself thinking about using maybe an alcohol alternative or potentially a non-alcoholic beer to help you with your quote-unquote sobriety? Well, newsflash, it isn't being sober. There's this new trend out that there's alcohol alternative drinks. We're getting flooded with messages and ads, per se, on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media, alternatives to alcohol. And the funny thing is that you have to go on a wild goose chase to find out the ingredients that are in these drinks. And what you'll find is that there's ingredients in there that you're not sober. If you're consuming these ingredients, you're not sober. So we talk about that and a lot more. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening, everyone?
And we've got Dr. T.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use. And thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message, right, peeps?
That's right.
That's right.
Also, go to realrecoverytalk.com. On the page, you're going to see a little link that says schedule call. Click that, put your email in, and schedule a free, I emphasize free, 10-minute call with us so we can go over your current situation and see if we can help or assist you in any way, shape, or form. Also, go to realrecoverytalk.com/guide. There you're going to find a plethora of guides. Put your email in, pick whatever guide it is most pertinent to your situation, and download it, print it off, hang it on your refrigerator, preferably somewhere that you're going to read it. And you can also go to realrecoverytalk.com/services if you would like continuous calls with either myself, Ben, or Dr. Tambini. Go to realrecoverytalk.com/services, pick whomever it is that you would like to chat with, and schedule a call with us. And yeah, that's it. How you guys doing?
Dr. T's all smiles today.
I am.
What's going on?
I just got off vacation, so I'm like not quite back into my groove yet.
How was that? Where'd you go? I know where you went, but...
Well, we went to the Bahamas first for a couple days. Then we came home I worked one day, Monday, and then we left Tuesday to go to Vegas. So,
how is the Bahamas after that hurricane wiped it out? Is it all back?
well, we went to Nassau and they weren't really affected by
gotcha.
Dorian was the hurricane.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of hurricanes, Big Ben's about to get whacked with a hurricane.
You said earlier potential Cat 5.
Yeah, I mean, they're predicting definitely a Cat 3, and you know how that goes. If they predict a Cat 3, it's definitely going to be a Cat 4. Potentially a Cat 5.
I mean, I'm a Florida boy. 1 or 2, we don't worry about. No biggie.
What's the saying? 1 or 2, eat a shoe.
What?
I just made that
3
up.
or 4, board the door.
Yeah. 5 or 6.
Get out of.
You're out of.
There is no 6.
Yeah.
But
What's Big Ben?
The Big Bend.
Oh, the Big Bend.
Yeah.
The panhandle.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
I was like, what are we talking about?
That's right. Yeah, Big Ben. Yeah. Anyways, here we are. Thank you for listening to us in the first 7 minutes of us rambling on. Ben and Tambini, prior to recording, were talking about something that's rather controversial, and we like controversy here at Real Recovery Talk. And so that's what we're going to be discussing. Tambini's been getting inundated with ads for, how would we say?
They're called alcohol alternative drinks.
Alcohol alternative drinks.
Sneaky little bastards. I wouldn't even call it controversial. Dude.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It depends on who it is that they're marketing towards. But I mean, if you really think about it, why would you need an alternative to alcohol if you don't have an issue to alcohol?
That's why I get frustrated with it.
So what are these, Tambini? What are these ads that you're getting hit with?
So it's been probably since we talked about it, I've get 8 or 10 ads a day. And at first I wasn't really even looking at the ingredients, because when they target you with the ads, they're basically saying, you know, drinking alcohol causes all of these problems, all these things. So try our drink because you can drink without having a hangover and you get this instant feel of euphoria and happiness and you get less anxiety, but they don't talk about what's in the ingredients. Like I literally had to go to the website, go to their frequently asked questions, and they don't list their ingredients where everyone can see them. You have to search through a bunch of, you know, things, and you find that it's microdosed mushrooms, THC, CBD. Some of them have alcohol in it, but it's, you know, whatever's less than a percentage for it to be considered an alcoholic beverage. Some of them don't contain these things and just contain natural things like ashwagandha, lion's mane, some things that they're, you know, it's trendy right now to drink these supplements.
Those probably, one, taste like shit, and two, don't do anything that they say they're going to do. Like ashwagandha and lion's mane, like I've drank mushroom coffee before and I never felt any sort of euphoria. It legit tasted like going outside, getting a shovel, getting a scoop of dirt and mixing it with water. So
You're talking about the non-psilocybin mushroom coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I got you.
Or some of them have low-level kratom, low-level kava in them too. So they do have psychoactive ingredients, whether or not they're high enough in a dose to cause a psychoactive effect. I don't know. I've never tried them. Right. But
so it's an interesting marketing effort. I can't say that I fault them for that. It's obviously business related. The unfortunate thing is that the people that fall prey to this are people like us and
kids, teens.
Yeah, well, I mean, is there an age limit? There has to be an age limit to buy some of these. I assume the mushroom ones, but you know, you have to be.
Well, some of them ask, "Are you 21 or over?"
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying. I mean,
but if a kid, for instance, sees that, you know, for instance, there's an ad for kratom on Facebook. I get those all the time. Like they could walk into a gas station. You don't get carded for kratom that I'm aware of. So, I mean, just because you're not ordering online, just the fact that like, hey, this thing exists, now I'm going to go get it. I'm starting to sound like an old man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they need the warning labels on this stuff. But funny thing is I brought this up to you a couple weeks ago that there's some controversy now where some kratom companies are getting sued because they didn't put warning labels saying how addictive they are. So all that's in the process right now. And you know, going back to what I was saying, what I say earlier, sneaky bastards.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing is this is becoming more culturally acceptable because even if you look at pharmaceuticals, like they're chasing the money. So it's within the pharmaceutical realm and medicine in general. Like you got the ketamine stuff going on now. I've seen trials for MDMA. I guess that's been going on forever, but it seems like it's getting more serious now. Mm-hmm. I guess. Can you do MDMA for treatment now?
No, not yet. But ketamine is for sure. Like some of the VAs do it for, you know, depression or PTSD resistant, medication resistant PTSD, depression. They'll use ketamine to help them through it.
I guess the scary thing is like from our end, when I say the kids, I guess I'm referring to anybody who may be naive. That could be somebody our age too, where they don't know specifically what they're getting into. Because if I'm not educated on kratom, for instance, because I get kratom ads on my Facebook feed all the time, and it just says relaxation, better sleep. Like what you don't realize is you start taking this stuff, and just to call it what it is, we've gone over this ad nauseum on the podcast, but like we're constantly putting people into detox and having them in treatment for a primary kratom addiction. They don't realize how physically addicted it is and mentally on all levels. So people don't realize what they're getting into. I would get on it and be like, oh, look at this herbal supplement that's going to help me sleep just like melatonin does. Or what's the other one? Melatonin and I'm drawing a blank.
Melatonin's the only, like magnesium?
Melatonin puts you to sleep, and then there's one that keeps you asleep. I'm drawing a blank. Dr.
Natural?
T's looking at me like
I don't
I'm
know.
crazy.
Yeah, Dr.
Maybe you
T
know
doesn't
something
know.
I don't know.
Oh, it'll come to me. It'll come to me.
Well, I think it's important to differentiate too. Like, I don't have any issues with people doing kratom or drinking kava or
Mushrooms, or
drinking
ketamine, or
mushrooms,
any of it.
teas, and all the things. If you could do that successfully and you don't have a history or a past like we do, then go for it. Like, I don't personally care. Where I draw an issue with it is the people that are in recovery or that should be in recovery that have a history of addiction. I get into these, and they're not even battles, but I'll post something on social media about non-alcoholic beer. And you can always guarantee that there's at least one or two people that, come back with some sort of, oh, well, bananas, ripe bananas have more alcohol content in it than an NA beer does. And it's like, well, first off, even if that is true, like, kudos to you for looking it up, loser. The second thing is I've never gotten a DUI from eating too many bananas, or I've never, stolen out of my dad's wallet just so I can have, money to go buy bananas. It's the behaviors that we're looking at. That's the issue that I draw with this crap, whether it's these safe alternatives to alcohol or non-alcoholic beers, or there's the non-alcoholic mocktails now that you can go and buy. There's non-alcoholic bourbons and scotches and all the things that.
Well, don't forget past the behaviors that lead up to that, trying to live vicariously, all that stuff. There is even a non-alcoholic beer, minute amount of alcohol. And if you prescribe to the whole doctor's opinion of Alcoholics Anonymous, we have an allergy to alcohol. Like, you put that in your body, regardless of how much, you're going to trigger the craving, the phenomenon of craving. What was it? Yeah. Phenomenon of craving that occurs.
So, okay. And I agree. I don't agree. I understand your premise behind this, but
here we go. Here's some controversy.
Let's go, Tom. No, it's the thing. Like, I'm not as big of an AA guy as you, right? So I love AA. I love the big book. I believe in everything that it says, but I think it's just like the Bible. And this is coming from a Christian who, I believe in the Bible. There are certain things in there that you can take, certain things in there that I'm not going to believe.
What about to science?
No, I don't trust science.
What?
I mean, does the last couple years, like...
We're not going to go on a rabbit hole right now about this.
No, I'm with you there.
Time out.
I'm with you there. I'm with you
going
there.
back.
I agree with you.
Going back to the doctor's opinion stuff, like, I had a period of time where I was on this like health kick and I would drink kombuchas, and those have alcohol in it, like very, very small amounts of alcohol in it. And it never like awoken the demon in me. I never
didn't make your belly feel warm. And then you're like, ooh, that's that old warmth at the...
No, there's 2 instances in my sobriety that ever happened. One, I probably had like, I don't know, 2 months of sobriety and I accidentally drank my mouthwash.
Accidentally, wink,
I did.
wink.
Listerine. I was in the halfway house and I remember it to this day. I was upstairs and I was swishing my mouthwash and I accidentally drank some of it because I had way too much in my mouth. I flipped out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just relapsed. I ran downstairs. Blair DeFalco was the halfway house manager.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, I think I just relapsed. He's like, what'd you do? I'm like, I drank my mouthwash. And he's like, on purpose? I'm like, no, not on purpose. It just like some went down my throat. I felt it, right? I felt the burn, but that has a lot of alcohol in it. Mm-hmm. Listerine does. And the other time was when, and I've shared this story before, when I was with Amanda in Miami. It was just before Winnie was born, and she was like 8 months pregnant, and we had like a weekend getaway to Miami. And we went to this chicken and waffles place for dinner. And the lady comes and I ordered chicken and waffles. That's whatever. And so the lady brings my chicken and waffles, and there's syrup there. And so I pour the syrup all over everything. I'm a syrup guy. Love maple syrup. It's the greatest thing. And I took a bite of this waffle, and you know how waffles have craters in them that hold syrup, right? So I get this big old bite of waffle, and I'm eating this bite of waffle, and I swallowed it. It burned the whole way down. I'm like, what was that? The server was just a couple tables over. She, started heading this way, and I'm like, oh, and she come over. I'm like, what is that syrup? She's like, oh, that's our bourbon, homemade bourbon syrup.
Oh no.
And I'm like, it may make sense next time to tell somebody that this is bourbon syrup. It was like Jim Beam. It legit tasted like Jim Beam with a hint of maple in it. And like, I was like, that's not good, and I went off on the lady and Amanda, because it was like, I took the bite and I just like swallowed it and I froze. And then I like went off on the server. Amanda now is in like full panic mode.
I know,
She's thinking, I'm going to be at the strip club next,
And I got some crack.
I know.
That's where I would have been.
So those are the two instances that like it really, for me, was like a wake up call of what that really, that the disease is still alive and well in me. Now with kombucha, it was, I knew going into like, that I didn't get any of that. So anyways, that was a very long story. What were we talking about? The doctor's opinion.
The doctor's opinion.
Yeah. So you said any small trace amounts of alcohol will trigger the craving. That hasn't happened for me.
From a physiological level, yes.
What do you mean by that, doctor?
I think it's like Pavlov's conditioning, positive reinforcement, right? Like you have the bell and the dog and the food, and it's positive association. So you ring the bell, the dog comes, you give him food. You ring the bell, the dog comes, you give him food, right? Like, and then eventually you just ring the bell and he comes and you don't have to give him food anymore, because now he has a positive association with, ringing the bell. That's how you train animals. Well, that's the same thing with addiction. You get all this positive reinforcement from using substances. You get this intense or extreme high and you feel good and it's great and you love that association with a substance, right? And this is how addiction and behaviors develop over time. So it's really hard to, like we talk about rituals and patterns, it's really hard to break that association in long-term addiction. So for me, I have a few arguments as to why I don't necessarily like these drinks, but one of them is that, and kind of going on, not necessarily the AA argument, but that, if you're getting back into the habit or ritual of drinking these drinks to get this positive association, we really need to look at the underlying issue here and what's driving it, what's causing it, and why do you feel the need to do it? Why can't you just go out with friends and have water or coffee or Coca-Cola or whatever it might be? Is it that you want to fit in? Is it that you feel like you're missing out on something? Is it that you have social anxiety? Whatever these underlying issues are, is this what's really driving the need to have something, a nightcap, whatever it might be?
It is strange because, like, even when I think about it for myself as an alcoholic, I'm like, if someone said, hey, you want to go out and have some drinks, liquor, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a good time. But if you say, hey, do you want to go out and have some Diet Cokes? I'm like, what? Well, what's the difference? Like, what other than the substance? But like that, like you're saying, the positive reinforcement, like I see that if I go out and have drinks, there's going to be some fun associated with it. People are going to get loose. Things are going to get wild, and there is a different association with it. Like I'll never be able to let go of like the good times that I had on drugs and alcohol. Like I won't.
Yeah, but here's where I'll bring community into it. when I got sober, there was a coffee shop. Oh, well, there were a couple. And remember Harold's
Yeah.
in Northwood?
Yep.
I like what you said there. There's an association to it. Like, why would somebody go out and have drinks of Diet Coke? On a surface level, makes zero sense. Because, how do I want to put this that makes sense? Going out and having whatever, beers, martinis, yada, yada. You're going out with other drinkers. And there's the euphoric feeling of it, the whole
excitement and camaraderie.
Yeah, the excitement and everything. But you're with other drinkers. Okay? This is why I say community is so important, because I had just as much fun, if not more fun, going to Harold's Coffee and just drinking coffee at 11 o'clock at night, knowing that I'm probably going to be up till 3 o'clock in the morning. It was because of the people that I was with. You know what I mean? Like when I was going to the bars and stuff, of course, the alcohol was great. I love the alcohol, but I liked the people there and, you know, the music and everything that came with it. And then when I got sober, I was just going to a coffee bar instead of Tony's Lounge. You know what I mean? So a lot of it had to do with the people that I was with. So like I would go, it's like when we would go to the Friday night meeting and go to Howley's afterwards. I'm not even hungry most of the time, but it's like going there because you're there, John's there, you know, the people are there, yada, yada, yada. So another reason for having strong community.
Yeah. The other thing I was saying that I don't necessarily agree with, but I mean, in a sense, it's a good thing, but it's just how social media or mainstream celebrities now are kind of romanticizing sobriety. And I think it's a good thing to talk about substances and taking time to like be sober, but at the same rate, they're not necessarily, again, divulging into like recovery and sobriety is really hard. And we see it day in and day out. And we see the people who struggle through it and how many times it can take people to get through it. And I don't necessarily think there's anything to romanticize about it. I think it's a positive thing and I think it's great. And I love when people share their stories and everything like that. But it's, in essence, right now, I feel like it's a trend, like on social media. And I don't think people necessarily understand like all of the layers below it.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's for sure.
Well, I think the market will determine if these people are successful. There's always going to be a market for people that are trying to circumvent the system. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why kava bars, if you go to, I can only imagine, I have zero data to support this, but I can only imagine that if you go into a local kava bar or kratom or what is it? A kava bar. If you got 10 people in there, 9 of which are probably tried recovery at one point in time. Would you say that's a fair statement?
I would. Yes.
Yeah.
I would definitely jump on that.
So there's
I'm going to call it a fact.
Yeah.
Even though we have nothing to back it up.
There's a market for it. And that's, and anywhere where there's going to be a market for this stuff, they're going to be successful. Now, with the alcohol alternatives, I mean, I imagine people are going to buy it. The unfortunate thing is that from our experience, the majority of the time, because you're always chasing, like what you said, T, you're chasing after something. Like, why can't you just be okay not having any substances in your system? That's what I think people really need to evaluate. And I had a conversation today with a client who will be unnamed, but you guys obviously know who he is. He can't wrap his head around not going back home and having a glass or two of wine at dinner with his wife, or, you know, smoking a blunt, you know, at some point in time. And what he said was really interesting, and I've heard it a gajillion times. He says, I just can't imagine not being able to live my life. And I said, do you hear what you just said? You're associating living your life with being able to have a couple of glasses of wine at dinner or being able to smoke a blunt. I said, the unfortunate thing is if you found your way here, which you did, you going and having those couple glasses of wine and living your life could very well lead you to using meth, which is what led you here. So why would you want to risk that? And, I don't know. Did it fall on deaf ears? Possibly. And it's also his first time in treatment. So, I told him, I said, you may have to, like the book says, and you'd be proud, Ben, you may have to go out and try and do some controlled drinking.
Tom, I'm so proud right now.
Yeah, see?
I want to bring something up that was strange. I don't know where this will fit in necessarily. I just think it's ironic. So when we were talking about bringing this topic up prior to hitting record, I was thinking I'm getting all these ads about kratom. Now they're coming in pill form, pressed pill form, and all kinds of concentrates and extracts now. And I'm like, wow, man, they're really trying to make this stuff more powerful. But all of a sudden, my feed was just getting bombarded with this. I'm like, what the heck did I look at that's sending me this? But anyway, I go into the search bar on Facebook, and I typed in kratom. And the irony is they're sending me those ads because they're making money. But on the other end, I put kratom in the search bar that says, if you see the sale of drugs, please report it. And then it basically has a paragraph, and it says, see how to report, get help and support. There's 2 buttons. That's the irony behind the whole thing is
So they're allowed to advertise because it's not a controlled substance
But I searched kratom.
And that came up.
So which one is it? And in some states, kratom is illegal.
Is it? I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yeah. It's banned in a lot of states.
Okay.
What states?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But I know the Zaza tiantapine is banned in certain states.
Yeah. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Tenepatine.
Yeah.
I hear they're on the way to banning that.
As of February 2024, 22 states and District of Columbia regulate kratom or its components in some manner. In 6 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Wisconsin, and the District of Columbia, kratom psychoactive components are controlled substances.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, that's good, I think. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of them things teach your own. I'm not against people doing whatever they want to do, mushrooms, ketamine, kratom. But just, I want people to be educated on the fact that, hey, if you have this thing called alcoholism or addiction, you probably shouldn't be screwing with this stuff. And for the people that are naive and they just don't know, hey, this is a possibility. This could happen to you as a result. Because a lot of people are just caught off guard. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are I had no idea kratom was going to lead me to landing in detox. I thought it was an herbal supplement, that you could buy at GNC, Yeah.
I do see that a lot. I do see the other argument a lot too. I used it to either help keep myself sober from opiates, and it saved my life because I wasn't using, heroin or fentanyl, which I get that argument too. What's the lesser of 2 evils?
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, it's not something that you should take forever either. If there's an underlying issue, whatever it is, mental health or substance use, then we really need to divulge into what are causing these issues and how can we help fix those issues so you don't need any type of substance to self-medicate.
We're just such a culture of hey, take this and you'll feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it comes down to.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. Yeah, if we could break away from that. And that's the thing. If people could actually give abstinence-based sobriety a chance, which these kratom and, marijuana zealots and, all the people that are so pro, MAT and yada, yada, yada. A lot of them haven't actually given abstinence-based a fair chance, and until you actually do that, I think that you're kind of, it's very campy, You know, you're either in this camp or you're in this camp. And,
Yeah.
you know, the unfortunate thing is that our camp is, you know, the right one. You know, it's just the way that it is. Well, that was fun. Anything else?
I don't think so.
No.
Not on the topic. I just want people to have awareness.
You believe it's fall,
Yeah, the first day of fall was what, Monday?
Sunday, maybe, or
Okay.
yesterday.
Oh, Sunday. It was Sunday.
Yeah. Yep. And let's do
I
it.
didn't know that.
And it's 90 degrees out with 90% humidity
Yep. Yep. So get ready. Winter's coming.
in 4 months.
Yeah. Get out your joggers.
Yes.
So, all right. That is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.